I was like, ha, orange looks good on me, but not in a jumpsuit. Like, seriously, what was I thinking? How did I get myself to this position? That was literally what was in my head. Thank you very much for coming to my channel again. My name is Jade Sola, and today is story time. If you have clicked on this particular video, I know you like gist. Now, how did this good girl just suddenly go bad? Like, I know my parents might be watching this someday. Mommy, daddy, I'm very sorry, but your girl is still a good girl. Let's get straight into the story, okay? So, how did I get myself into a situation that actually almost got me arrested? So, it was in the year 2008, and baby girl just finished school, and I was preparing for my NYSC. For people that are not Nigerians, we have this compulsory service that we have to do after school, sort of like just serving the country. And you're going to be posted to different sides of the country, and then you're going to have like 1 year work experience where they don't pay you very well, and yeah, sometimes you get retained and then you have a permanent job after, or sometimes you don't. But anyways, I was preparing to go for that particular thing. So before you can go, you have to get your deployment letter, which will confirm the state you're going to and where you're meant to maybe do like a 3 weeks camp. For people that are Nigerians, they will really understand this. So after a few months break, right after graduation, it was now time for me to go back to school to pick up my call-up letter, which is like my deployment letter, right? So I left Ondo State and told my parents that I was going to school to pick my call-up letter. Now it gets interesting. But then I had planned with some of my friends in Lagos that we were going to go to school together, which made sense, right? Just not me alone going to pick up my call-up letter, and yeah, I thought it was going to be fun. But then I knew that the day I was going to go to the school to pick up my call-up letter was going to be a couple of days in between the time that I left Ondo State and told my parents I was going to Ogun State to pick up my call-up letter, right? Anyways, I planned with some of my friends, and so I went to one of my friends' house somewhere in Lagos.
Can I get a wow? Wow! Can I get another wow? Wow! Give me another one. Wow! Call the ambulance. Whoa!
So I'm going to call this my friend Henry, right? So I left Ondo State and went to Lagos State to Henry's house, where I was going to spend a couple of days before going to school to pick up my call-up letter, right? So I got to Henry's house, we had not seen in months, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's so nice to see you. It was one of my best friends in school, so that was really nice, just seeing him again. And I was like, oh, guess what? Chidi and Catherine are also here. And I'm like, oh, who's Catherine? I knew Chidi because we're in the same class. I was like, okay, so who's Catherine? And I was like, oh, Catherine, she's your friend, you know her, we used to have some classes together. And I'm like, okay, great. So I got into the house, and then I saw Chidi, and then I saw Catherine. So I immediately recognized Catherine, and I was like, girl, what's up? We ended up just, gisting, and then, I thought it was going to be fun, just all of us in the house. By the way, my friend's parents, that's Henry's parents, were not in town. They were outside the country somewhere. So I got talking with Catherine, who lived in another state, by the way, but was in Lagos for some course that she was doing in between graduation time and NYSC time, right? So she had just mentioned it in passing that she was doing that particular course, and she had just come back from an excursion to a particular country. I don't know if it was Australia or something that she had just come back from. So I was like, oh, cool. It was nice just hanging out with my friends that I had not seen in a very long time. And then something happened, right? I think it was like the following day, I just felt ill. And it was so bad. Like, I broke down. I was so sick. I tried to fight it, but it wasn't just working. And then I had to treat myself for malaria, so I was very weak. One of the days I was still very sick, I was sleeping, and then Harry was not at home. Chidi came to tap me while I was sleeping. I was like, you know what, Jadisola, you need to wake up. You need to wake up. I need to tell you something, right? And I was like, okay, so what's up? Like, I was still very like groggy. And then it was like, somebody's going to call you now, right? You're going to say Catherine is with you, and then you're going to say that you're in school. I'm like, what's going on? Who's calling me? Like, someone is going to call you now, like, wake up. And then you're going to say Catherine is with you, and you people are in school, which is in Ogun State. Mind you, we're both in Lagos. So when I tell you, this story gets interesting, yeah? Now in like 5 minutes, my phone rings, and then there was this woman on the phone who claims to be like the proprietress of the school that Catherine was doing a course in. And then this woman goes, so are you Jadisola? I'm like, yes. I was like, oh, I'd like to speak to Catherine. Where is she? And I was like, well, we're in school together. I think she must have gone to the cafeteria to buy lunch. I'm in the hostel, but I'll let her know that you called. Right? She was like, okay, just let her know that I called, and then tell her to reach me. And then I was like, okay, really, what is going on? This is sounding a bit serious. I went out and then I spoke to Chidi, and I said, okay, this lady called me, and then this was what she said, and then this was what I said. But Catherine, what's going on? So apparently, Catherine, after they came back from the excursion in Australia or wherever they went to, left the campus, right, and then came over to Henry's house. And for some reason, her parents, who lived in another state, were just like, oh, you know what, let's just surprise our daughter who just came back from Australia and just see how she's doing. So they had gone to the campus, and then everybody started looking for Catherine, knowing fully well that Catherine knew exactly what she was doing, and she had turned off her phone, right? She had turned off her phone as soon as she got to Henry's house. So I didn't know that, and then now I'm just hearing this news, and I'm like, okay, anyways, that's all right. Anyways, I've done the bit that you people asked me to do, and that should be fine, right? So I got another call from the lady again. Obviously, Catherine did not exactly call them back immediately, and I was like, oh yeah, she's still out, I'm still in the hostel, but I would definitely make sure that you get a call once she's around. And then she was like, okay. So I had to go back to Catherine again to go like, you need to call these people, right? You need to call them so that they'll stop calling me. Remember, I was still very ill. So Catherine eventually makes a call to the proprietress, telling her, oh, she was in school with me in Ogun State, and that she was going to be back after she picks up her call-up letter. Mind you, we're all in Lagos. This was in the evening, by the way, so we're like, okay, we'll manage, and then she'll probably maybe just go back to the campus later the next day, right? As early as like maybe 5 something, 6-ish, someone was just tapping me again. Oh, Jadisola, wake up. Oh my gosh, they are outside. I'm like, who's outside? So by that time I was like in a frenzy, and I was like so scared, like, oh my gosh, who's outside? What's going on? And then I'm hearing shh, shh. You know what? First of all, my parents are back. That's Henry's parents. And it's like, oh, we need to be quiet. His parents are back from where they went to. And I'm like, okay, all right. So the way their house was, like, they had like a BQ where the kids stayed, and then the main building was for the parents. So I was like, okay, so now we're keeping our voice on, but who's outside? Who are they? Like the police and the school proprietress and some people from that campus where Catherine was doing it. And I'm like, wait a minute, how the hell did they find us? Like, how the hell did they find this address? Chidi was like, technology snitched on us. So I was wondering, how the hell did technology snitch on us? So apparently, first of all, Catherine's parents, I think they are like very like boxed up. So they're gone to the telephone company or whatever to track the last set of calls that Catherine made before her phone went off, and then that's how they found Chidi's number, right? And then when I called, when I picked up the call from the proprietress when they were trying to find out where Catherine was, they tracked me to a particular base station in the neighborhood. When they matched the base station with the base station where Catherine's phone was last active, they matched it and it was the same. They tried to call me again, remember? And then they still confirmed that I was still talking from that same base station. And they knew that that base station was in Lagos. And whereas I was lying to them that I was in Ogun State, Catherine had also lied to them that she was in Ogun State, but the call she made to the proprietress to say she was in Ogun State was at the same base station. Like, just imagine. So Chidi was like, we need to think fast. You know what? I'm going to create a decoy. I'm going to tell them that truly you live in the same estate. And I'm going to tell them that I'm going to take them to your house, right? And I'm thinking to myself, what is going on? What is going on? Like, police, jail, they're tracking us. Orange looks good on me, but not a jumpsuit. I'm ready to go to jail. How the hell did I get myself to this situation? So Chidi was like, he was going to take them to his friend's house, somewhere away from Henry's house, and then myself and Catherine should get into a cab that he had called, and then we should go to Yaba, which was where the school that Catherine was doing the course was. And I'm like, first of all, I'm not going anywhere with anybody. And they were like, just still calm down, right? You can imagine how everyone was trying to calm the people outside to just let them, just leave quietly before we alert Henry's parents who had just gotten back from their trip. It was crazy. So Chidi successfully took these people away from the front of Henry's house and took them to another place. So while he was away, they had already called an Uber. And then Catherine was like, please come with me. I don't want to go back to that campus alone. And I'm like, no. Like, I'm in a lot of trouble already. I'm not feeling well. Like, I don't even know how I'm going to explain this to my parents if this thing should escalate beyond what it is. Like, I am not going. Anyways, the cab came into the compound and then Catherine, slid into the back seat, and then she stayed really low and then left. So by the time Chidi took the teachers and the police to another friend's house in the same estate, like this thing it could have gotten really messy. Chidi took them to someone else's house who didn't know what was going on, who did not know Catherine, and then he had to just he had to just put on a brave face and was telling his friend, who I'm going to call Mike now. I'm like, Mike, it's me. I'm looking for your sister, Jadesola. That one is like, huh? What are you talking about? I don't have any sister called Jadesola. Like, and then the police was like, oh my gosh, you people are like criminals. We're going to arrest you guys. This and that and that and that.
You need to be locked in prison for a very long time. You need the internet taken away from you. You are a danger to society.
Mike is like, no, I'm not going to get into trouble for you. I don't have any sister called Jadesola. There's nobody here. Like, the way the police, really got upset after finding out that they had been tricked to leave the front of Henry's house where it was closest to the base station that they had tracked both of us to. Like, they started to create a lot of trouble at Mike's house now. And then suddenly, they get a call from the school. Catherine had got into the school, and then they had called the police and the teachers that came to the estate where we were in to say, hey, Catherine is now here. I think that was what just de-escalated the situation. Like, imagine how much trouble all of us would have gotten into. So Chidi came back, told us what happened, and then I was like, thank God, at least I'm not in a lot of trouble. I think in the evening, they were like, oh, let's go and see Catherine after like she had settled with her parents and the school and everything. I still couldn't really get myself to go to that school very confidently. I followed them there, and then the next thing, some of the teachers and the people in the hostel were like, oh, so you're the Jadisola that was lying. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, so now this is the reputation that I'm going to have for lying to my parents that I was going to school and I went somewhere else first, for lying to other people. Like a lot of the things that we just take for granted, or we're just making calls, there are people gathering data on where you are, like unknowingly to you, and if you commit a crime, like people can find you. I hope that you have enjoyed this gist, because it's just taking me back like memory lane for the most part. And Chidi, Catherine, and Henry, if you recognize yourself in this video, shout out to you guys. They're cool people now. They're like really big boys and girls, daddies and mummies, by the way. And you know, you grow, you learn. Anyways, if you've enjoyed this content, you know what to do. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share with your loved ones, and I'll see you next time. Bye.